Hi, it's Christy of So to Speak, and welcome back to the Closet series. Our next guest is very exciting because she is going to help us overcome our stress eating once and for all. I easily can lose myself in a daydream and elbow deep in a box of Lucky Charms, even pre-COVID. But throw in a global pandemic and it's off the charts. So I'm thinking like March to May, maybe you give yourself a little bit of leeway, but we're in October and it's time that we all take back the reins, show Corona who's boss, eat to boost our immunity and decrease our stress. And Cindy Chan Phillips, the non-diet nutrition coach, is here to help us reframe our relationship with food in a very loving and just like a very healthy way, in a way that I personally have never really heard of before. It goes way beyond portion control and polarizing food as good or bad, and just more about from the inside out, how we feel about food, what gives us satisfaction, where we find enjoyment with food versus stress eating to emotionally eat our feelings, as was the common hashtag back in 2019. So fortunately for us, Cindy Chan Phillips is here to save the day, to show Corona who's boss. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy our conversation. Oh yeah.
Let me tell you my a little bit of my story. When I was going to studying my graduate study at Syracuse University and working on my research thesis, while being a mom to twin young children, raising a household and cooking and the cleaning and the laundry and all of that, I was quite stressed, right? I had to be in a classroom over an hour away at 8 a.m. in the morning while getting my kids ready. So all I could think of, Christy, all I could think of was watching television and eating cheesecake. That's the image in my head. You know, it's like putting my feet up and eating cheesecake. That's sort of the milestone, as you said so correctly. I mean, there's difference between craving for something because you want to celebrate a milestone. And by the way, I did eat cheesecake and watch TV for the whole week, nonstop. But you know, it wore thin. But it's a difference between that and feeling that you have less control over the frequency, the amount, and the choice of food. And that is something that we are talking about. That is something we need to do something about, right? So this is a very stressful time for many of us, particularly if you are a parent and you have to do your full-time job, and working from home really dissolves the boundary in the structure. It is really important having the structure, and now you don't have it. And then you have to coach your children at the same time. And all that uncertainty with school reopening in many different fashion, and you don't have all the answers. And some of us are worried about our finance, our job situation, right? And we are missing our parents. So those are all real things that affect many of us. So it's interesting. Stress eating is a form of emotional eating when we use food primarily to deal with our emotional feelings. So it is one form of emotional eating. And it can affect us a little differently. Some people can actually don't have appetite to eat when they're stressed. I don't know whether have you come across friends who actually lost a lot of weight because they're going through a really tough time?
Oh, for sure.
Right? Because I have. I have seen people who really lost so much weight, like skin and bone, because of all the stress. Because stress is catabolic, it breaks down. But it also makes you hungry. For some people, it makes them increase their appetite, so they feel hungry. So if we look into it a little bit differently, you're absolutely right about thinking ahead, and that is one of the strategies. But there's a reason why we kind of gravitate towards cookies, chips, ice cream, and I hear from my followers, they feel that they couldn't control throughout the day around ice cream. There's nothing wrong about ice cream. Ice cream is delicious. Is when we feel that we don't have much control over the amount and frequency, Christy, then that's what we want to do something about it. So when we are stressed, we tend to gravitate towards sugary and maybe salty foods, because those kind of food give us the temporary relief, because we don't want to go into that corner of stressful feeling. It's very uncomfortable, very unpleasant. So the kind of sugary snacks give you the temporary relief because it gives you the dopamine. But here's the catch though. After that temporary relief wears off, then we feel bad. You're talking about feeling shame. We feel shame about how come I couldn't resolve the problem or the stress. And we feel guilt and shame over our choice of food. And then for some people, that they knew that they didn't want to finish the bag of chips, but they did. So they overcompensate the next morning by maybe skipping lunch. They're thinking that maybe the calories might balance out, but our body does not work that way. Funny thing is that we may get over hungry the next day, and then we overeat. So it's like guilt piled on top of guilt, and it's not a good cycle.
Oh my gosh. And so I have so many questions about this. So first of all, I love the idea of just how you broke it down into like the 3 of frequency, amount, and choice. It's so, just for people to be able to wrap their brains around that, because then they have something that's a little bit more comprehensive for them to be able to say, okay, I can structure it in regards to this. How frequently do I do this? What's the amount? It's measurable, right? And I have a choice, which is so empowering, and there's freedom there. There's always freedom of choice.
It is something that is very timely. And yes, you are not alone. We all can do something about this. No shame. Let me tell you my story. I'm an immigrant. I grew up in Hong Kong. And my husband liked to make fun of me. I'm Chinese. He said, you Chinese would be eating a meal and then talk about the meal that you ate last night, and then at the same time planning on a meal that you're going to have tomorrow. He said I was eating all the time. But there's so much joy around it. So when we feel guilt around food, when I first arrived at the United States, I was amazed. I was really amazed and admire American women at just the strength that they have. But then something really also hit me too. There is that amount of agony and self-loathing around food. That is quite foreign to me, I have to say, where I came from. So I want to help.
So can you just go a little bit further in regards to the cultural difference? You said that it was very foreign to you to just see the majority of American females' relationship with food and how they can maybe make it a little bit healthier.
I think the difference is in the thought process, in the fluidity of the thought. Let's say that where, in Hong Kong, where I grew up, sometimes we pack on weight, right? Gain a little bit of weight, but we don't go and blame ourselves the first thing. The self-loathing and the game and show just was not there. Okay, it's a very matter of fact. Yeah, we've been sitting around too much. Yeah, maybe, I'll need to watch what I eat, and you go on, you take some action. The difference is when I came here, the intensity of blaming ourselves first, ladies, blaming ourselves first. And then the social media really has not helped. And I'm sorry, Christy, you just opened a pet peeve for me. And I apologize if I go into
Why are you run with it, Cindy? I'm just so engaged. Leave it out, man. This is what it's for. Get pissed.
Okay. Hello, Hollywood. You're listening. I want you to listen to me on this, Hollywood. Do not glorify young mothers of rapid weight loss on selfies and social media. Please do not glorify when young mother just gave birth to the babies. 2 weeks ago, and then have a selfie in their bikinis or underwear in the bathroom, and look how fast so and so lost her baby weight. Please don't. We go through a natural process. Our body changes. Our body goes through a natural process. When we hit menopause, our estrogen goes way down, and estrogen controls over 300 functions. So give yourself grace, and Hollywood, please don't make profit on women's body and pressure them into losing weight. When young women give birth to the babies, they need the time to build up their bodies. It's a catabolic process giving birth. Allow the time to eat nutritious food, to build up, and slowly work through the process. I'm sorry, Christy.
Please do not apologize. Like, this is the point of the series, is to be honest and real and unapologetic for how you believe in what you believe in and what you're passionate about. I mean, this is your passion, from what I gather, is, and add on to this and amend it, it's to help people have a healthier relationship with themselves and with food.
Exactly. We have been told to eat healthy. These are the 5 things that you should do. When you deviate from that, it's a bad day. There's a good food and bad food, and I think that is not giving us the justice and service. And what I'm trying to teach my clients in my practice and my program is, we give you the principles, and you paint your own color, your own watercolor around those base principles. Be aware of your surroundings, be fully engaged with your internal cues. So there is really no shame and no remorse over maybe taking on a few pounds. Look, I pack on a few pounds because I'm working in a computer, and I'm a dietitian. But I know this is a temporary process. It's a thought. It's not like I'm stuck in this and I'm broken, or it's lack of willpower. No, you know what? I'm in a pandemic. I work along a computer. I could be walking more. I'm gonna walk more tomorrow. And tomorrow when I'm gonna shop, I'm gonna bring some more, making sure I have more fruit and yogurt and jerky and granola bars, and push the bags of cookies, the bags of chocolate chip cookies, not banning them, but maybe push them a little bit further away in your pantry. So those are practical steps we can get into.
Yeah.
It's a fluid state. Even our body is always in a homeostasis state. You adjust. When it's cold, you put on a jacket. So we shouldn't be the first thing so hard on ourselves and blame ourselves that we are weak. No, you're not weak. It's just a process. You learn some skills, you learn to strengthen it, and we go on.
That is something that consistently comes up in these conversations about the need for self-compassion, and how it's not just a touchy-feely strategy of talking to yourself like you would to a friend. It works. It's so effective, because we would not be even close to as nasty to our friend as we are to ourselves if someone ate something, to use the example here with cookies or chips. And I just feel like that's something that is really underrated, and many people aren't even aware of self-compassion, and it's just talking to yourself the way you would talk to a friend, and it works. It's been scientifically proven to work, versus the tough love, toughen up, pull up your bootstraps and carry on. And it seems counterintuitive, because a lot of people think that if you're softer and kinder to yourself, you'd be less productive, or you would be less motivated. And it's the opposite. So I really just want to really hit that focus that you put about being kinder to yourself. I think it's so important. And I don't know if you pointedly did this, but when you said, I can be walking more, it seems so just maybe a little too specific. I'm a stickler for words. I feel like they matter so much. And you saying I can be walking more versus I should be walking more, or I need to be walking more. There's so much power in you saying I can be walking. It's an internal. I want to be bold enough to say across the board, no matter who you are, you feel a difference when you take out the word should or need and you put in can or want, because it's so much more in your control. There's so much more power in it. Even when you were saying like I can be walking more, then all of a sudden you started talking about getting all like the really healthy fresh food, and it sounded so enticing and it sounded so just delicious because of the fact that you were saying it from a place where you were like, yeah, I can be walking more, and then I can go to the store and get all these great things. And then when you led to about pushing back the not so healthy food in the cupboard or the pantry, I also feel like for me, it depends what the food is, right? So there's some food that my kids will have that I'm not into, and there's other food that I am. A lot of times I have to keep it out of the house. So I feel like there's probably different strategies for people, right? Like all or nothing. I'm not going to down cereal I will. Like if there's Lucky Charms in the house, I'm going to eat the whole box and be like elbow deep numerous times. So we don't buy that as much. More for me and my lack of willpower with Lucky Charms. But yeah, I feel like, yeah, if pushing it back works for you, awesome. If putting it on a higher shelf works for you and it's more of a struggle to get to, you have to get a step ladder or whatever it is, then do that. And if it's that you just don't buy it because then do that. Is there anything else like within that? Like we just named 3 in regards to maybe bagging it up in portions ahead of time. So you're not hand in the chips. I don't know. Like, are there any other tips?
That's one thing I would tell my clients to do is reimagine your kitchen. So I always, one exercise I ask them to, and you can do the same thing too. When you walk into your house, usually you walk in through your garage side door, right? Or maybe from the front door, and you come to your kitchen. Imagine you were a visitor to your house. What do your eyes fall first? And imagine if you were a nurse coming off of a 12-hour shift. You are famished. You see the middle of the counter with, and I'm not saying that in my book, there's no bad food and good food. I think by now, hopefully you know that. I love Rocky Road because I love nuts in my ice cream. So when you walk into a kitchen, what is on the counter? So it's one thing for a dietitian telling you to eat more fruit, it's good for you. It is wonderful with the vitamin C and the fiber. Is it there in the middle of it, right? When your kids, you try to encourage your kids to eat more fruit. Well, you have to sell them. I hear that from parents, oh, I can't get my kids to eat them. Maybe right off of a Zoom class session, hey, want to have an apple? I cut it up for you. So you have to sell it. So same thing, you walk into your kitchen, the fruit need to sell to you. Your eyes falling. Or do you see bag of chips or pastries first in the counter? Because if you are a nurse coming off of a night shift, that's where you're going to grab for first.
It's so relevant. I mean, especially everybody. I mean, I'm having weird sleep patterns. I think other people are having weird sleep patterns. So you're inevitably going to be eating differently. And I love the idea of the visual. It's something that is so easily able to be looked past. Whereas if you have foods that fuel you, that are easily accessible, I love that. And I love the idea of having a guest come and like that invitation. It's very invitational. It's very welcoming. Like, so I love that too. But I wanted also to add, I loved the idea of when you were talking about a mom who wants their kids to eat more fruit, say, and they get up a Zoom call, and instead of having it be like an order, like, how about an apple? Here's an apple. I love the added caretaking of, I cut it for you. That's not coddling for me. Like, and my kids are young, so you coddle a little bit more. But even for a teenager, I just think right now during this time, it's even beyond that. It's such a loving gesture that goes so beyond what you would think. You just feel taken care of. That you didn't just get the whole apple. I love that.
And coming back to Christy, your strategy, question about strategies. So you want to have a variety of choice. Let me just say a variety of choice beyond the regular suspects, right? You want to have something that with chewing power, something that's high protein, such as jerky, such as granola bars, such as bags of nuts, such as yogurt that you can maybe, you know, instead of eating the whole 6 ounce, you can have 3 ounce, and then sprinkle with some loose, you know, you buy in bulk granola, and then sprinkle some nuts that give you some nice chewing power. When you chew, you feel satisfied and full longer. And do an experiment. Christy, I don't know, are you a smoothie person?
Oh yeah, I like smoothies.
Right? So sometimes in the morning, smoothie is a great way to get us started. We're really busy, you know, you have small children. But if you do an experiment, one morning you take a smoothie, you drink it, and then another morning you eat a breakfast, and see whether you feel a difference by 11:30 a.m.
Oh,
Because when we chew,
I totally agree. I agree with you 100%. I have experienced that completely. I can't just have a smoothie. I need to have like a piece of toast. I need something to chew along with it. 100%.
but going back, Christy, I just thank you. I just love that how you take that one step further for your viewers of the loving, intentional gesture around food. Food is there to give us pleasure, give us joy, and to nourish us through vitamins and through nutrients. And recognize that your kids went off of a Zoom class on the remote days. They use a lot of energy to understand the problem, the math problem. And here it is, you know, oh, you didn't like hummus before? You want to give it a try? Cut up some celery. You don't even have to cut it up. You can buy them cut up from Hannaford. Put it on a plate, scoop 2 tablespoons of hummus. Here you go, Susie. You might like that. So thank you for bringing that back into the realm of happy, nourished, purposeful, intentional.
Yeah. And I think it's a great, I mean, and you know, I think just universally food is such a way to bring people together, to gather around a table or together. I mean, whenever you have a party, it doesn't matter. You could be decking out your living room or your patio. Everybody ends up in what room? The kitchen, right? I mean, it's just, that's the gathering space. And there's something that is to be said about food and a way to look at it as being like a communal way just to shift our perspective on it. And I don't know, I just feel like there's something really beautiful about, we've talked about how many more times people have had to eat dinner with their family and all that, but it's like, it goes beyond that. Just these little mini moments in between, like being aware that, yeah, our kids are doing school in a completely unnatural and new fashion. And just these small gestures are ways for them just to see that you, and to feel that you care for them, that they're taken care of. I just think that's, and a way for them you to feel like you're taking care of them. So it's like this combo, it's this mutual combo, which I love.
Here is another thing that I want you to keep in mind too. Let's not give more power to the chips and the cookies and the ice cream. Those are all food that fit all in a healthy lifestyle. The more we deny ourselves, so going from the thought of I ate 3 cookies is a bad day, change that mindset into think of some other alternative ways that can help you deal with that stressful moments, that bring you back to a clarity, bring you back to calmness without relying on food. It can be just stepping out to the deck, open the deck door, just have that breeze, feel the breeze on your face for 1 minute, or go into the laundry room and fold 2 pair of socks. Or if you can, do something to to yourself or give yourself a mini facial. Remember the things that give you calm and give you pleasure. It can be different from different person, right, Christy? You have things that give you calm and pleasure. Remember that, and then maybe do something like that. So have maybe 3 to 5 alternatives and variety that do not involve food, that can give you the sense of calmness right at that moment. This is what I work with my clients in my program. A lot of times having you develop that awareness, that skill, and thinking ahead of time, going back to your question, how can we plan ahead of time? And this is very, very important. Think ahead of time that you have 3 or 4 alternatives besides food to cope with that feeling. And sometimes all you need is just that pause. It's like when you're writing, you hit the space bar and create a new paragraph. And that is sometimes all you need. And guess what? Give yourself the permission to go back to have that double chocolate nuts ice cream. But you will find that when you have yourself that pause, either number one, you lose the appetite for it. Number two, half a cup will give you the satisfaction. Mm-hmm. So remember in the beginning, we talk about is the frequency, the amount, and a choice. So you don't give so much power to the food because you feel that you have more of the resilience to manage that. American women have amazing energy, and I don't want that energy to be wasted, to be stressed over food and over the game and shame. I want to see our collective energy, ladies, to be graceful to ourselves. When we feel stress, our level of stress hormone goes up, and that drives us to seek more sugary and sweet food. So having proper exercise does so much good. Don't look at exercise as a weight loss behavior. Look at exercise as giving you the resilience, is boosting your immune system and increasing your metabolism, and then also releasing the good hormones in your body and getting your mind in the right place. So moving, exercise is good. Move for joy. If you would like to walk, walk. If you like to run. You dance. If you do crazy moves at home, do crazy moves at home. Swirl around, moves. If you work at home, try to stand up. I have a $34 stand from Amazon that I elevate my laptop. So you don't have to stand for 8 hours like me. Maybe stand for 2 hours and sit down for 1 hour, stand for 2 hours. Everything is not 0 or 100. There's a lot of beauty in the middle. So hydrate properly, and 80-20 rule. Have that inadequate fruit and vegetable, adequate protein, so you feel full and satisfied. Really eat food that you love and love what you eat. That's my Chinese speaking, I'm sorry. Eat what you love and love what you eat. That way the satisfaction carries you through that craving urges. A lot of time when we have cravings, because we are naturally hungry, we are not satisfied. So when we exercise, drink properly, hydrate, and eat satisfying, a balanced diet, we really help your body express good genes and then lessen the risk of expressing of the bad genes. Look, my father died from lung cancer at age 51, and I have 3 siblings. And I love my siblings dearly, but I have a brother who smokes. And I had to tell him, look, you and I all inherit the 50% of the genes from our late dad. So, but your smoking really put you in a bad spot in terms of that, the bad genes. I hope, he stay healthy.
Heard how sitting is the new smoking, how sitting down, like we just don't think about it as much. And we can easily just go one more email or one more post, or I just have to get one more project, pointed that project done. And there's a process that's fairly well known called the Pomodoro Technique, where you create chunks of time for whatever you're working on. So I want to say that generally it starts at like 25 minutes per task or responsibility that you have. But then you can shift it to shorter, a little bit longer. And then you're done. So you're only focusing on email for 20 minutes. And then you have like an alarm that goes off, and you're only focusing on this part of the project for 20 minutes, and you get so much done. But to your point about standing up, especially because everybody's working at home, not on your phone, but like on my microwave, I'll set the timer on my microwave. So I have to get up because the microwave won't stop beeping till I get up. And so it's just such a great reminder. And then I'm not distracted by my phone because I'm not looking at my phone to do it. And I literally have to get up, turn it off, and then come back. And it just kind of snaps you out of it. It wakes you up for a second. You don't have to think about how long you've been sitting because you just set the timer. And it does take a little bit getting used to if that's your thing, but I love doing that because I feel like
such a great idea.
Isn't it great? Pomodoro
That's a great
Technique.
idea.
Yeah, I don't know who created it, but I just feel like that's something that is so doable. And if your thing's 15 minutes because you feel like you have tons to do and 20 minutes seems too long, you will shock yourself with what you get done in 15 minutes because you're only focusing on that one. You're not all scattered and distracted with multiple.
Oh my gosh, so true. It kind of killed the urge of opening up another tab and see what's going on.
Yeah, it does. And it's also, so to bring it all together with what you said, which I love. So the alarm that I use is on my microwave. So obviously in my kitchen, I love the idea of, so you go in there and maybe you get hungry and you're bored or you're stressed. And I love if people go with what you said about the visual. When you walk into the kitchen to turn the microwave off, you're only going to see foods that are going to be fuel-like for you versus foods that won't necessarily give you that fuel. Because that's something I want to touch on too in regards to looking at food as fuel to help you get through the day. And are there any foods specifically that you would recommend that are easy go-tos for people just to have on hand to keep them having that bandwidth to go through the day, the energy?
I would recommend a very, very quick way is to choose protein-rich snacks and start thinking about reimagining your breakfast. I know some people do not feel hungry in the morning, but that's a small percentage of people. After 7, 8 hours of fasting, sleeping in the morning, wake your body up gently with a satisfying breakfast, because that's going to give you the oomph and the staying power through the day. So protein-rich snacks could, and if you are, if you can tolerate dairy, cheese sticks, I talk about nuts, I talk about granola bars, and try to choose the lower sugared addition type of granola bars, and yogurt that you can, if you want to sweeten your yogurt, I would prefer you buy the plain yogurt and then sweeten it yourself with the amount of honey that you want, and and then sprinkle some either oatmeal or some granola to give you the chewing power, and even half a glass of milk, half a glass at a time. And then for breakfast, if you like oatmeal, start with a bowl of oatmeal and sprinkle 1/4 cup of nuts, walnuts, or a little bit of cheeses. Then you can really take it up to 22 grams of protein. I always try to advise my client to go for 20 to 25 grams of protein per meal.
Okay.
And you will feel the difference. You will feel the difference in the satisfaction. And I would also add that when you go around the food that you crave and give yourself permission to enjoy. So when you have done what Christy and I have talked about giving yourself the pause, getting up, and maybe you want to cut up an apple. It's just the motion of cutting it up. That's the pause we talk about. Like going up and pouring yourself a cup of hot tea. That's the motion we talk about. And you still feel that you want to go for a chocolate chip cookie. Go for it. But one small portion at a time.
I love the idea of cutting the apple being it's all slowing down. So the cutting the apple is slowing down, pouring the tea, waiting for the tea. Nobody's going to like suck down hot tea. That's just not only defeats the purpose, but it's very dangerous.
Yes,
And then you're
that.
fuller and you might want the cookie, but chances are you won't eat as many. I felt it like when you use the example of having a smoothie versus chewing. I love that it's that simple, just in regards to like even having yogurt and putting something chewable in the yogurt, or oatmeal and putting something, I mean, oatmeal is kind of chewable, but putting walnuts in it.
You know,
Am I what you're saying, or is that what you were saying?
no, that's exactly what I'm
Oh,
saying.
good.
When when you go do grocery shopping, have you seen a lot more now drinkable, even they have like pureed veggie that you can squeeze from a baggie for the kids,
Yes.
right? And again, having some fruit and veggie in puree form is better than not, right? Having some something in the morning, then better than not having breakfast. But I think over the time we have get used to not chewing and drinking our nutrition. I once read, Christy, I can't quote the name, but it really captured my attention. I want to say anthropologist.
Okay.
He said over the generation, our face shape has changed because we don't use our jaw as much.
Oh, wow.
And that change of our jaw shape changed the sinus and change other secondary space and structure and alignment in our body in a way that are not good for our health. So that really caught my attention.
So that's something too. I'm a grinder. Definitely. I think I'm at the other extreme. I grind at night. I have a mouth guard and everything. It's a whole other conversation. You don't like to say healthy food. What do you say instead? Because I don't know what to say instead.
Food that make you feel good.
There you go. But what if someone said, you know what? A whole box of Lucky Charms makes me feel really good. What would you say to that?
I would say that there's nothing wrong with eating Lucky Charm, but I would invite you to think before before you crave for the Lucky Charm, before the Lucky Charm comes into your plate in your bowl. Think before that, maybe 3 hours before that.
Cindy, plate and bowl. No, I'm elbow deep in the Lucky Charm.
So could it be that? And I'm not saying that might be the answer, but that could be sometimes good chances that might be the answer is, have you felt satisfied? So difference between feeling hunger and feeling satisfied. If we are hungry, I feel hungry and I don't have any other food, I only have 3 minutes to go, I pour myself a big bowl of Lucky Charm. There's one thing. And second thing is I don't feel satisfied. I just hit me with that taste of the Lucky Charm. That's a separate thing. And this is what I'm going to talk about. Is perhaps we have been eating food that we have not loved, that have not given us satisfaction. It's a big difference. So the question you ask is, well, how do you get satisfaction? Right? Do we eat more? No, it's not eat more, it's eating the right type of calories. And also and again, going back, maybe, let's say if our Lucky Charm scenario is in the evening when our family goes to bed, this is when we go to the kitchen. Then you think back your lunch or your dinner. Do you feel satisfied? Do you eat food that you love, or are you eating food that people think that you should be eating? So having more protein give you that kind of, and research have shown very clearly, having 20 to 25 grams of protein help us stay full longer and therefore help them lose weight. But also help them being more, you have more choice when it comes to, it's less of an urge, is you can take it or leave it type of situation. So how do you get satisfaction? And then you need to be in tune with your body sensation. And I don't know, have you heard of mindful eating? Mindful eating is being engaged with our body sensation of hunger and fullness and being aware of our surroundings and being in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
That way it helps you even eat fewer calories, lesser amount of food, and get way more satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
When you feel satisfied through the day, you feel either you don't have such an urge or a smaller amount will hit the spot for you. So think about the satisfaction through the day. And because of that, I recorded a mini lesson, an 8-minute mini lesson on the 5 techniques in eating mindfully. And for a limited time, I offer that for free. I might have taken down the link already. So quickly through the 5 skills is to pay attention to the texture. And I'm again going back to lunch and dinner. Pay attention to the taste and the texture, how it feels, the mouthfeel. And then second is to slow down, take the time to chew. So it goes back to this example of drinking versus chewing. There's a difference in there. Drinking may not trigger that level of satisfaction than eating. And then not multitask. This is a hard thing to do. Even I fall into that, Christy, of multitasking right now. And I don't like it, but I catch it. And give yourself the 5 to 10 minutes. This is me time. This is my lunch. Whether it's a salad with a piece of tuna fish or salad with some chicken. This is my time. I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to feel the crunchiness of the walnuts. I'm going to feel the taste and the texture of the chicken. So we talk about slowing down, avoid distraction, and paying attention. And then this is the most important thing, is to sense your level of hunger and your level of satisfaction. When we were born, we have that innate sensation of knowing that we're full up until 4 years old. Then we lose that innate ability. You know how little kids, 2 years old, 1 year old, you push them, they push away food. They know. They have that sense. They're really in tune. We lost that around age 4. So the technique helped us back engage with our body sensation. How am I feeling? Am I feeling lonely? Am I feeling full? So when you feel full, even though I still have half a plate of food, I'm going to take that home. I'll push that away. That's that's how I was brought up. We enjoy everything, but when you feel full, we're full. And you back the rest home. So those are a few things I would invite us to think about, whether we have the satisfaction. Have you heard of the term phantom food?
No.
A lot of times, sometimes we try to follow a certain nutrition regimen or nutrition program that we are really missing the food that we love, and we're eating a certain way. That's why I never liked the water trick. The water trick is, drink a lot of water before you go to a party so that you trick your stomach into thinking that it's full. I don't believe in tricking our body in any way. But really honor your body sensation of hunger. So have that satisfaction. And then when we enjoy the food, and again, I use Lucky Charm as an example. Always pour into.
Cindy, that's my favorite go-to. So
right, pour into a cup. Pour into a cup. Sit down, and have a spoon. Enjoy your Lucky Charm just like you're enjoying a gourmet meal.
I enjoy my Lucky Charms like it's a gourmet meal. I love it. It's a mindset shift. Same thing with ice cream. Same thing with potato chips. It's like when we have gourmet meals, I'm going to take the liberty to speak on behalf of all of us. We eat it slower. We just savor it. Whether you're a meat eater or not a meat eater, but like whether you have a filet or whether you have like a fancy vegetarian dish, you savor it more. It's just like
Savor.
there's so much about the five senses that you were talking about too, with the texture and the feeling it and the smelling it. And you didn't say smell, but inevitably that comes as part of it, and tasting it, obviously, hearing, like just even listening to like the crunch of something, or it's very multisensory, which I love the whole process and idea of mindful eating. So thank you so much for sharing.
I have offered a free ebook on Crush Your Cravings. Christy, you talk about being aware of the triggers, and that's really one step. So it talks about why cravings happen and 9 ways to address, some tips to address them to avoid cravings. So those are covered in the free ebook that I'm offering for free. If you are interested, you can go to my, I think it's on my Facebook page, Cindy Chan Phillips Nutrition Facebook page. Right on my cover photo, you can click on my cover photo, or I think I sent you a link, right?
Did I send you a link? I'm gonna hook up the link to my email subscribers, and then I'm also gonna link it to whoever's watching this now. However people are watching this, they're gonna have the link connected somehow. You just run through, I have the closet cues. They're just fun questions that you're gonna just have an impromptu response to, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first question is, what would we find in your childhood closet besides clothing?
I had a doll that I forgot who gave it to me, and that was the only toy that I had.
What was her name?
I didn't give it a name. But I've had that doll for a long, long time. And I think ultimately my mom threw it away.
Oh no, Mom. The next question is, if you could write a phrase in a closet for anybody in the world to stumble upon, what would the phrase be?
My secret is I always wanted to be a Las Vegas showgirl.
I love it.
The big feather hat.
Oh, I love it.
That's me.
I think
this is my first time I reveal my secret.
I think you still have it in you, Cindy. I see Vegas showgirl written all over you. I mean, who knows, right? So that's what you would write? You would write, I want to be a Vegas showgirl?
Mm-hmm. Any producer listening?
There you go.
You need a Chinese dietitian showgirl in your ensemble?
Go. I love the whole idea. And I have to say, I think you'd be one of the first. So here's.
I need to have 5-inch platform shoes.
You still
and lots of bling.
Wait, you still do, or you?
No, I say I would need 5-inch platform shoes.
Oh, I was kind of like, oh wow, you have
maybe 6-inch so that I can reach to people's armpit or something.
Okay, and the last question is, you have a magic door in your closet and it goes anywhere, I'll say in the world, but just, it can be a fantastical world, it goes anywhere. Where would it go?
Hong Kong. Yeah, grew up in Hong Kong. So my husband here is my family, and Hong Kong is my lover. My dream is to host a food tour in Hong Kong and take maybe 10 women with me. That's my dream. That will be wonderful. One day we're going to eat at a 5-star hotel. Another day we're going to sample all the street foods.
And it needs to be I hope you make like a documentary about it. That would be, I would totally watch that.
That would be my dream. I love those questions. Wow.
Cindy, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Oh, yes. Thank you. This is really a lot of fun. I hope I get to be back.